I just had the genius idea to combine all my soap fragrances into one and use it in my next soap, and I want to do this for two reasons. First, my soap closet is a bit of a mess and I need to clear it out a bit. Second, I want to see what'll happen. I have some naughty fragrances that like to discolor, accelerate, split, so I'm curious if they'll behave even worse when they're all mixed together. I'm your bubble buddy, Chris. There's only one way to find out, so let's plan our soap. Because of the unpredictable nature of naughty fragrances, I'm keeping the design simple today by doing layers of black and white. Since this is a soap that contains all my fragrances, I want to use colors that contain all the colors. Black and white for subtractive and additive color respectively. Is it a stretch? Yes, but I haven't been outside for a while, so I could use one. On top, I'm going to make it rainbows with some biodegradable holographic glitter to push the delusion that my soap is secretly really colorful. Sounds like a plan. The time has come to combine all of my fragrances, and I have 36 to comb through. I'm going to separate them into aroma families so we can get a sense of what the dominant smell might be. First things first, I'm going to don a COVID mask because I don't want to prematurely smell my concoction. Second, most smells are pretty self-explanatory, but for those with weird names, I'll try to explain what they smell like. The first and smallest family of fragrances is the wintry family, which consists of evergreen, Yule and pine, and peppermint from Voyageur Soap and Candle. This family is 66% cozy woodsy goodness and 33% eye-watering menthol. I'm going to measure 1 milliliter or approximately 1 gram of each of my fragrances today. The second smallest family is the sweet family, which consists of all of those wonderful bakery scents. We have chocolate from New Directions Aromatics, oatmeal milk and honey from Wholesale Supplies Plus, and butterscotch chai, cookie coma, and vanilla bean marshmallow from Voyageur. All of them smell like they sound, except cookie coma is more like a vanilla almond, and butterscotch chai is sickeningly sweet yuckiness. The third family is the floral family, which is how I always imagined Miss Honey's cottage would smell.
This is a cottage from your story.
We have Lily of the Valley and Hawaiian Plumeria from New Directions, Dirt and Lilac and Bloom from WSP, and Oceanus from Voyageur. That dirt fragrance really pushes through all of the others and is kind of overwhelming. It's a very damp, watery pond sort of smell, and I kind of don't want it to muddy up all the other lovely flower aromas we have going on. If you're wondering what Oceanus smells like, because yes, what is an Oceanus? It smells like laundry. Now, this family concerns me the most because florals are notorious for misbehaving in soap batter, so I'm not excited. The next in line is the spicy family, which is sure to take your nose on a wild, tingly, fiery ride. We have white tea and ginger and coffee cake and spice from New Directions, as well as gingerbread, old-fashioned Christmas, cinnamon chai, and cappuccino from Voyageur. But Chris, cappuccino isn't a spice! Yes, I know, you're 100% right, but it really didn't fit well into any category and I didn't want it to be on its own. With the exception of cappuccino and white tea and ginger, every fragrance in this family is basically just a variation of cinnamon, star anise, nutmeg, ginger spice, scary spice, baby spice, sporty spice, and of course, clove. The fifth and second largest family of the fragrances is the musky family, which actually kind of surprises me because I find musk makes me a bit woozy. It just teleports me straight to a stuffy room where people practice transcendental meditation for 15 minutes. I know, very specific, but very real. We have Bamboo Cypress, Beach House, and Coconut Sands from WSP, as well as Sweet Pink Sugar from New Directions, and Mad Moon, Ghost Train, and Majestic Isle from Voyageur. Mad Moon is like a musky apple, Sweet Pink Sugar is basically just Victoria's Secret, and Majestic Isle is musky coconut, and Ghost Train is a grandfatherly hug if you had a strange obsession with patchouli. Our sixth and final family of fragrances is the fruity family, which doesn't surprise me at all. We have fruit slices and green tea infusion from New Directions, watermelon sorbet from WSP, Fruit Loops type, fix the spelling, snowberries, sweet orange, strawberry, crisp apple, blueberry, and peach bellini from Voyageur, which is sure to create the most heavenly fruit punch fragrance your nostrils have ever had the privilege of smelling. The only weird one here is snowberries, which is actually a really sweet gumdrop sort of smell, and not the wintergreen the way they are in nature. So that's it. 1 milliliter of each of my 36 fragrances in this little cup that I will be beside myself if I spill. Conducting this little project has shown me that the universal color of fragrance is yellow. That dirt smell is really robust. Of course it had to be dirt and not like cookie coma. Let's make the soap and see how it behaves. So I've got a pretty complicated color palette today with half a teaspoon of titanium dioxide white going into one container and 1 teaspoon onyx black mica going into the other container, and that's it. I'm going to give these two opposites a good mixing with a dash of my oil blend, and my colors are all prepped and ready to go. Lately, I've been having a bit of trouble with graininess in my batter. If you saw my watermelon soap video, then you know what I mean. To try to avoid that, I'm soaping warmer today at exactly 40 degrees Celsius. This should keep all of my solid oils nice and toasty so they don't solidify while my batter is being prepared. My Skin AD liquid goes into my Skin Slimy liquid, and I'm going to blendify with my stick blender, because based on the reception of my previous video, I was almost cancelled for not using it. Didn't even plug it in. Since I'm using my stick blender today, my batch reaches trace in just seconds. This is great for saving time, but not so great for controlling trace, which is why I prefer to use my milk frother to blend small batches like this. The milk frother doesn't guarantee proper emulsification, however, which is where the stick blender's mighty power is preferred. I need to divide my batter in half, so I'm going to measure 290-ish grams for the white, and then the rest will be black. I'm a little worried about whether or not my white will come through because my batter is pretty yellow and the fragrance potion I'm adding is also yellow, so I'm crossing my toes. In the coming seconds, I learned 2 things. 1, it's futile to use my stick blender with this much batter, and 2, that my white was completely overtaken by yellow. I think at best, it took it from yellow cake batter to slightly lighter yellow cake batter. It probably would have been prudent on my part to toss my regular recipe into the bin and do a 100% coconut oil soap instead. That would have retained a lot of the white that I needed for this design. But as the Romans once said, oh well. With my batter colored, it's time to add the fragrance. And the fragrance is where it can all go wrong. Let's just recall that inside this potion is every single fragrance I own. Fragrances that separate, accelerate, rice, seize, discolor, they're all in here. So let's take a deep breath and see how it does. Well, that was anticlimactic, but in a good way. Like, this is 100% not what I was expecting. It was supposed to mess it up. But that's the nature of soap making. You never know what to expect. Since my batter is behaving, like, perfectly, I'm gonna haphazardly layer those colors. While I do so, I'm just gonna comment that this blend of fragrances is like people. Sure, there are some bad ones out there that can wreak havoc on their own, but they're completely powerless when thrown into a group of good ones. So just make sure to be good out there so we can keep those bad apples at bay. The fact that my fragrance potion didn't even accelerate my batter a little bit is just more proof that the simulation is real and I'm actually a hologram. But like every other well-behaved hologram out there, I'm going to simulate a microquake to encourage any pesky air bubbles to leave the party and then clean up the edges of my mold. I'm not extremely well versed on the subject of top texturing, which is why I default to the good old reliable spoon squish to the middle technique. I'm going to beglitter the top with some hollow stardust from the Good Glitter to add some much needed pizzazz, and because I have a surge of creative energy right now, I'm just going to comment that hollow stardust is the perfect companion to my soap, because even though the glitter itself is a boring gray, you have to look within to find the color, much like you have to look within my black and white to see the beauty within. This little loaf of conflicting emotions gets a nice little misting of rubbing alcohol, and then it gets put in the closet for 24 hours to sleep and saponify. Then, I can smell it. One day later, let's see the damage. The first thing you might notice is that this soap has terrible dandruff. I'm not sure why, but the soda ash is kind of terrible on this one. I took the precautions, I sprayed it every 20 minutes, my oils and lye were warm, so the soap's gonna soap and I just gotta roll with it. More important than the dandruff is the smell. And the psychological torment of not knowing what this smells like puts Harry Potter's cupboard under the stairs to shame. Just so you know, I put my mask back on because I'm saving my nostrils for the cut, and cutting the soap, off it goes. Here's the design. Obviously not meant to be perfect layers, so I like those swirly clouds where the two colors intersect. And the smell, You know when you see a scary picture and your hair stands up? It's like that, but for smell. And it took me a few minutes to kind of pin the smell, but I realized that this soap, it smells exactly like the candle section at IKEA. Just everything everywhere all at once. It's an experience. I can't even pin down what fragrance family it falls into. It's not even fruity smelly, even though more than a quarter of it is composed of fruity fragrances. This is just one of those bizarre situations where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and I don't like it. I'm gonna throw up a little pie chart showing the composition of this magic fragrance blend based on the families that went into it. Feel free to pause the video at your own discretion. This soap was a bit of a wild ride and went every direction I didn't expect it to. I don't hate the design, and I think it'll be interesting watching that white darken further as those vanilla fragrances kick in. I do wish the white was, like, actually white. Right now it kinda looks like the wall of a smoker's house. I'm sorry if you smoke indoors, but it's true. The holographic sparkly rainbow hexagons are doing what they do best, distracting from the terrible ugliness which is the top of the soap. Most importantly, the soap smells perfectly acceptable as well. It's a nebulous blend of everything that is sure to scratch someone's itch. Somewhere. I decided to call this soap Fusion because it's the product of everything coming together to create the ultimate sensory overload. Throwing all of my fragrances together proved to be a fun challenge, and it didn't actually ruin the soap like I thought it would. In any case, that was a soap journey with the soap universe. Thank you for watching. Bubble bye.